Hello there, everybody. My name is Tony Grillo, and welcome to my channel, Wisconsin Hugs. When I decided to do this channel, I didn't know what to call it, and I'd been using my name, and one of my Facebook friends, a girl I went to high school with, sent me a message, personal message. She said, you need to come up with a catchy name. And one of the phrases that I use a lot is the words Wisconsin Hugs, because most of my family and friends all live in Minnesota, and I migrated over to Wisconsin, which isn't all that far away. And I live near Milwaukee, and I went to college at UW-Eau Claire. I left Wisconsin for a while, and then I came back after maybe 5 or 6 years, and then I've spent pretty much the rest of my life living in Wisconsin. I love it. I love the state. I love the people. There are so many wild and crazy fun stories, and I just seem to fit in very well. And so I happened to be Googling Wisconsin Hugs because I was kind of curious if anybody had written any reviews about my channel or anything. And the thing is I only have 23 subscribers, and my best videos was a song that I wrote for a gal that I'd been dating, and now we're not seeing each other anymore. But anyways, it was meant as a funny comedy song, and then another one I had written a funny comedy song for an ex-gal that I'd been with for about 3 years. But I came across this story, which I never heard of. Apparently this had been going on in the year 2013, so this happened before COVID and all this. But there was a gentleman there who was living in Madison, and he decided to open up a business called the Snuggle House in Madison, Wisconsin, and it's a very liberal college town. And for $60, you could snuggle with a person for 1 hour. And apparently the business had about 300 to 400 applicants. So there was plenty of people there that wanted to work there, and interestingly enough, the man that was running the business decided to close it down after 3 weeks. And so it took quite a bit of work just to get the license and everything from the community leaders there to set up as a business. And then when he got it set up, he was only open for 3 weeks, and then he decided to close it down. And one of the political people that was, I guess, on the board that approved the business said he was kind of surprised it closed so fast, but he just figured maybe they weren't getting any business. And the owner said, no, that wasn't the case at all. They were getting plenty of business. It just, he was getting tired of the harassment he felt he was getting. He was getting a lot of pot shots from people, from the press. There were a lot of people in the community that were worried it was going to turn into a place of prostitution. And he just said, I closed it because I just didn't need the hassles. He felt like he was getting too much hassling from running the business. So I found this interesting story, written by somebody for the Badger Herald, and he wrote about his experience. His name is Eric Sadarin. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. I went to the Snuggle House, and this is what happened. And this was back in November 25th, 2013. And apparently he took a picture of one of the rooms. You can see it has shades of, nice yellow and lavender, and that's supposed to be pretty relaxing. I think there's a CD player over there, and everything is, the wood floors are are polished up pretty nice, and it's just supposed to be a very relaxing place. So this writer, his name is Eric. I'm just going to read what he wrote. I stepped into the Main Street building. I'd been biking in the freezing cold for nearly 20 minutes, and the warmth of the building was a godsend. Yeah, Madison, Wisconsin can be really cold. It's maybe not as cold as like northern Minnesota or North Dakota or even South Dakota, because I've lived in all those states. But it's still, Madison can be really cold. But I was about to make it even warmer. I was in the Snuggle House. Woo! After composing myself at the front door, I stepped through. I expected to be greeted by some sort of front desk. Instead, I faced a series of bedrooms stretched along the length of a hallway. The wood floors were well varnished. The furniture looked spotless. The walls varied in color, but most wore a comforting shade of lavender. There was no one to be seen. For all I knew, I could have been in someone's apartment. Hey man, how's it going? I turned around and saw a tall, long-haired man walk through the door. A beaded curtain brushing over his shoulders as he approached me. It was Lonnie, the Snuggle House's only male snuggler, and all-around very chill dude. I introduced myself, expecting a handshake, and began to extend my hand. Instead, Lonnie embraced me. So apparently this is Lonnie right here. Seems like a really nice fellow. I'm jealous of his long hair. I'm bald, so he has wonderful hair. And his shirt there, the Snuggle House. Nice to meet you, bro, he said as we hugged. Another person appeared from behind the beaded curtain. It was Jennifer, who I was to be snuggling with. She wore leopard pattern pajamas, a Snuggle House t-shirt, a scarf, and socks. We embraced and introduced ourselves. She asked if I had brought a change of clothes, which I hadn't. Do you want some hot chocolate or anything? She asked. That actually doesn't sound half bad. It's some cocoa and snuggling. I mean, for $60, you can get a Starbucks coffee for $5, So I said sure and sat down in the waiting area as Jennifer checked my IDs. Lonnie whistled in the adjacent room as he toyed with the water heater. Jennifer walked back in the room with some papers for me to sign, and I read through them, noting what was acceptable and unacceptable in a Snuggle House setting. Acceptable things included holding hands, hugging, snuggling, and more. Unacceptable things included stroking, rubbing, or doing anything that might be construed as sexual. I noted all of this. As Lonnie prepared the hot chocolate, I disclosed to them my position at the Badger Herald. I told them how I was doing this to counter some of the negative press the Snuggle House had received leading up to its November 15th opening. The Snuggle House's grand opening was pushed back a month after city attorneys expressed concern that the business might be a front for prostitution. Lonnie and Jennifer were glad to hear this and promptly gave me high fives. Soon there was hot chocolate in my hand. Jennifer had some too. We walked into a bedroom and sat down in the bed. She put a CD into a CD player, and a medley of ambient sounds washed over the room. Jennifer told me that in the week since the Snuggle House opened, she has snuggled with around 5 customers. She told me the story of a client who came in with visible anxiety. For a while they sat and talked, then they held hands, and by the end of the hour they were lying down together. Not intending to hold hands for a full hour, I suggested we jump straight into the snuggling. Jennifer curled up into little spoon position, and I took her in my arms as her big spoon. We sat in silence for about 5 minutes as Spanish guitars and jungle sounds surrounded us. It was just me and my thoughts and a complete stranger curled up in my arms. I couldn't help but think of the complete ban on anything that could be perceived as a sexual advance. With this in mind, I moved as little as possible and kept a 1-inch distance between our lower bodies. She broke the silence. "So what would you write about this?" she asked. I told her I would write about us talking, how I got a feel for what people do at the Snuggle House, and about how we started snuggling as jungle sounds played in the background. The tension had been broken. We spent the rest of the hour in the same spooning position, making small talk. Throughout, we talked about her time at the Snuggle House, her hometown in northern Wisconsin, her experiences snowboarding, and her scheduled trip to Jamaica. I told her about my job at the Herald, life at the University of Wisconsin, and my month-long summer trip to Paris. Our positions never changed, but our hands would occasionally come together and our fingers would lock. It was these impromptu moments that felt most intimate. While the Snuggle House strictly prohibits anything that could be construed as sexual, which creates a barrier for physical intimacy, it was these small, intimate touches that made me experience the most comforting. And Jennifer's calm, outspoken demeanor made for an hour's worth of good company. I couldn't help but crack a smile as she told me about the artwork she admires in a Mexican restaurant on Monroe Street. "In my favorite painting, there is this girl. She has black hair, and then there's the butterflies. All the paintings are really beautiful, but that's my favorite one." It was refreshing hearing those things from someone who I had just met but was now so close to. For 60 minutes, I talked and snuggled with a complete stranger. When the CD ended after an hour, I think Jennifer returned outside to the cold. The wind drilled against my face as I biked home, and the entire way all I wanted was someone else to snuggle with. So, I tried to find that Mexican restaurant, but there's like 15 of them on Monroe Street. So I guess the only way I could see what that painting looked like was I'd have to check all the restaurants and see what painting she's talking about. But so, anyways, this is the story about the restaurant, or about the Snuggle House closing. "No cuddling, please. We're Wisconsinites." Published Monday, December 9th, 2013. It may be cold in the upper Midwest, but folks in Madison, Wisconsin don't feel like cuddling. The Snuggle House has closed its doors, according to its Facebook page. The business, owned by former health supplements salesman Matthew Herdador, was only 3 weeks old. The entire enterprise had a hard time getting off the ground. Its planned opening in October was delayed a month as city officials tried to get their arms around. Oh, that is funny. The writer, I like that. That's pretty good. City officials tried to get their arms around the idea. Some locals were reportedly concerned the business could be a front for prostitution. During the delay, the Snuggle House put up a website offering therapeutic cuddling for $60 an hour. It profiled its staff, including one man, Lonnie, a long-maned former camp counselor. And he had 30 to 400 applications before they even opened, said Hurtado's attorney, Timothy Casper. Finally, an occupancy permit was granted, and local councilman Mike Verveer said he received no complaints. Sudden closing surprised him. My guess would probably be they just didn't have the business they anticipated. Apparently, I think this is where it was, and there's some video there on that.
Did someone's bedroom, but it's actually a business. For a fee, you can get inside and snuggle up with someone. A service people working here say is all about unconditional love.
There's this whole part of us that gets neglected a lot of the time.
In a typical setting above a downtown Madison bar is the Snuggle House. Inside, several bedrooms laid out for therapeutic cuddle sessions.
We have beds, we have couches.
Stress levels go down, you feel better, anxiety in a lot of people just kind of dissipates.
Clients pay for an hour of service that isn't restricted to hitting the sheets.
If you want to curl up and lay down and just some good old-fashioned snuggling, you can do that. If you want to sit and talk, if you want to cry on my shoulder, I'm totally cool with that.
Lonnie Johnson's one of 5 employees who says the Snuggle House provides a controlled environment for what he says should be a way of life.
I would love to see everybody do this in general, as a way of living. The legitimacy of a business, can really, it sets people at ease.
They've reached out to the VA, nursing homes, and others who may be neglected of affection.
A safe place people can go to really be consoled and comforted and feel that warmth of human love that doesn't have any undertones.
And kind of creep me out a little bit.
But not everyone's convinced.
You kind of wonder what they're up to in there.
The Snuggle House is in the final stages of inspections before opening, but already with nearly 100 appointments made. The city of Madison is concerned the business has a potential of prostitution, but the Snuggle House ensures their services are strictly non-sexual.
It's very much like a doctor's office.
Security-wise, protocol-wise, we are covered, and we are not negotiating in any way any of those situations.
In Madison, Brittany McDonald, NBC 15 News.
Not so, said Hurtado's attorney. He just decided, I don't need this grief. He has 2 little kids, and he didn't need people taking pot shots at him. Casper said that Hurtado repeatedly met with city officials and gave them all the information they wanted, but they just couldn't buy into the idea that this was just cuddling. He added that the Snuggle House was doing fine from a business perspective with more than 36 sessions so far. Why did Hurtado open a cuddling business? Well, the idea came about after he was hospitalized for Lyme disease. He was poked and prodded. The thing he needed the most was a hug, Casper said. A lot of people may feel that way. 2 weeks ago, I profiled Samantha Hess of Portland, Oregon, whose Cuddle Up To Me business has made her an international star. Hess's business, or at least the buzz about it, continues to grow. Already done interviews with people in Bucharest and London this morning. This is so awesome, she tweeted on Friday. And she continues to spread her vision of platonic love with things like sidewalk affirmations. Madison, however, is giving the cuddling concept a cold shoulder. Wisconsin is not Oregon. Hurtado is now offering to give away furniture from the Snuggle House to those in need this holiday. Wow. His attorney said the last straw was when even the local bar downstairs would shut the door when he walked by. Oh my God. Holy cow. So apparently it wasn't a combined business. So the bar downstairs didn't even welcome him. That's interesting right there. That is really interesting. I was going to end this video, but then I found this story here, and it was in the Isthmus, which is a paper in Madison, a very liberal paper. So it is interesting that as liberal as Madison is, and I mean, we're talking about a city that I mean, they let the homeless camp out in their parks, in tents all over the place. It's the hotbed of liberal thinking and ideology. They're like an island within this person by Tell All, I don't know who that is. Must be a nickname. He says, Tell All, the Snuggle House is just sad. I feel sorry for people who pay to be comforted. Dear Tell All, you asked for readers' opinion of the Snuggle House. I won't pay to be touched. The business wants to sell Madison on touch therapy, in which professional snugglers cuddle with clients for $60 an hour in a supposedly non-sexual way. I don't exactly find this gross, like your letter writer hands off, and I certainly don't find it appealing the way you do, Tell All. To me, the Snuggle House is just sad in a number of ways. It's sad to think people would need to pay to be comforted through touch. I don't blame them for not having a real friend or relative to provide it for free. If they don't, they don't. But how could comfort provided by a professional be anything but inauthentic? It's also sad to think a business would try to exploit the people who are seeking comfort. $60 an hour for the illusion that somebody cares? That's quite a racket. I prefer that somebody steal $60 from a wallet rather than hoodwink me in this way. Amazed as usual. I have an easy way to solve the philosophical question you proposed. Snuggle House good or Snuggle House bad? Try thinking of it like this. If you patronize the Snuggle House for anything other than a lark, that is, if you're really in the market for professionally cuddling, would you be proud to tell others you did so, or be embarrassed? Just as I thought, embarrassed. And there's your answer. If the Snuggle House is good or if it's bad. You know, that's a good point, because I know if I went to my friends, that were on the fire department and said, yeah, I went to the Snuggle House, I really needed some snuggling, they would laugh at me. I mean, they just would. They would think I was just crazy. It would be a joke. They would be telling everybody, the entire town would know. I mean, yeah, that is an interesting thought right there. Dear Tell All, I'm tired of Madison wringing its hands over the Snuggle House. We've fretted over it so much that we're starting to look ridiculous. Yeah, it is interesting. Just let the damn business open and get on with your life. You want to pay for cuddling? Be my guest. You want to cuddle with your partner instead? Fine. How about we all just do what we want and instead obsess over something that really matters? May I suggest Obamacare? Well, if you're obsessing over Obamacare, I think you need a life. But this is a liberal paper. Well, let's see. Well, there's Lonnie with some of the girls, apparently, that the professional huggers that work at the Snuggle House. 3 weeks. That's how long it lasted. And I'm surprised that a place like that wouldn't have been. I would have thought it would have done well, really well, in liberal Madison, Wisconsin. But 3 weeks is all it lasted. So my channel name, Wisconsin Hugs, had nothing to do with this business. It was a catchphrase that I like to say to people, Wisconsin Hugs, because most of my Facebook friends live in Minnesota, and I'm from Minnesota. Most of my Facebook friends and family all live in Minnesota, and so I just like to use that because I thought it was a nice little catchphrase. It's my phrase, and being that I live in Wisconsin, I thought it would make for a great name for a YouTube channel. Because I want my channel to be different than other channels. I mean, I have so many channels I love. I love the ghost search channels, people that are looking for ghosts. I love the history channels. I love the crime channels. I love the police interrogation channels. I love the police chase channels. I love the political stuff. I love these other channels, commentary that are done by certain people. in their channels. Like the Quartering is a guy out of Waukesha, Wisconsin, and he has built up a really successful YouTube channel. He has like 1.5 million subscribers or something. I don't know how he did that, but I enjoy his show. Jeremy over there in Waukesha. Hopefully someday I can meet him, because I'm not too far from him. No, I'm not going to give him a big hug, and I don't think he'd want one either. But anyways, I give him a fist bump. But yeah, I came across this story. I'd never heard of it, even though I was living in Wisconsin at the time. The story came across, me. And I just wasn't really paying attention, because I didn't live in Madison, and I just didn't really register with me, and I really didn't care, about it. But it is interesting that 9 years later, I wonder if somebody tried to open up a business like that now, he might have better luck. I don't know. But like that lady in Oregon, apparently she's doing really well. And this person here in Madison didn't do so well. But anyways, I'm going to end this show here. I hope you have a great day, everybody. Big hugs to you from me in Wisconsin. I'm out of your piece. Bye.